Test. 1, 2, 3.
All right. I think we're good now.
Yeah, Kieran's so professional.
Well, he does work at the top now.
I have about 15 more minutes.
Oh, my God.
He's got to go to the other show.
Oh, God.
He's
The other
very
side.
I'm
busy.
doing the circuit.
Danny's driving him. You gotta be wrapped.
And like, you can't go in this. I start the
Start
car.
the car. Start the car.
All right. So the car ride over here was kind of fun. We were very quiet because we didn't want to. We were trying to like save all of our energy, but now it's time to release the energy. Are you guys ready to release the energy?
I think I'm ready.
What happened to your face?
What
What's
happened?
wrong?
You have like,
Oh, yeah.
What is-
I just saw that right now.
What?
what is that? What is it?
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
Did you
It's like you put your hands on there.
Like hives?
like you got lipstick or something? Like someone took lipstick and put red. Yeah, that's so
Should I
weird.
go to the bathroom and check it out?
I actually noticed it when he got in the car, but I wanted to save it for the podcast.
Did you hit yourself?
I don't think
didn't
so.
even see. I didn't notice that about him.
No, I'm just kidding.
Did you hit him when we weren't looking? Are you better? Are you Rihanna? You're Rihanna.
I was saving it for the podcast.
Blink once.
Is it bad?
It looks like someone kind of kissed you on the forehead.
And then rub lipstick on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I just go check it out?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, go.
Can we-
What were
can
you
we
doing
talk?
in the bathroom earlier?
Oh, wow. And with that being said, welcome to Do It Like Danny. I'm going to tell a million stories, and maybe one will hit home, and you'll be like, wow, that happened to me. And it's not about me. What is? You know, television is a very, very crazy beast. I learned so much at Tyra. This is real emotion. This is something that I experienced.
I want the world to see what I have always seen, and that is the love that you have for just being yourself.
I love this person who knows who he is, who can make people laugh.
I think the script I gave you was a little bit different, but I'll take that.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm drinking at work because it's my show. I drink on my show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Do It Like Danny. We have some surprise.
What?
I don't know.
You were saying something?
I got too much sugar in
How
my.
many
I'm like,
years have you been
whoa.
doing this? This feels like a good season 3 premiere.
Thanks to all of our sponsors,
Do you still
Sony
do-
and Panasonic and
Big Gulp,
JCPenney.
7-Eleven.
And now Tim Hortons.
Question, do you still drink on this show? Because
I
it's
know.
your show?
I didn't need a drink.
Angela's gone. We don't have access to the alcohol.
Yeah, right. Damn it. Daddy's locked it up. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Do It Like Danny. Welcome to the show. We have a really amazing show for today, and the reason why is because we are obviously here in Windy, Montecito, but I have two near and dear friends from Canada. And as you all remember, Kieran, who is a friend of the show,
Hi.
he's on
The top-rated episode.
Yes.
Correct. Right?
Yes.
The last two that you've
Yes,
been on.
between you and Angelo. Yes. Hot great episodes. And then for the first time ever, Polly.
I've never
Yay.
been to Montecito, so thank you
Yes.
for driving
And
me
you
down
still
there.
haven't.
Welcome to the compound. We didn't realize it was going to be so windy up here today.
Well, you didn't. We did.
Yeah, no. I mean, Oprah didn't say anything.
Ellen did, but you don't listen.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I don't listen to her. Did you
Don't listen
see
to
her?
I did. see
And?
things. I was a little underwhelmed, but
Yeah. I mean, that's what Variety reported also, too.
I wrote the article. No, I thought she had an opportunity to have a good goodbye
Yeah.
on her terms, but to really go there, which she claimed she was going to go there, I don't think she went there.
It was whiny, right? It was
Yeah,
whiny. It was
yeah.
like, poor me, I'm rich, and I'm a
Yeah, yeah.
poor white woman.
Yeah.
And nobody cares. Bye, Karen. Bye, Karen. So really quick, a little background. So for those of you that don't know, if this is your first time ever watching the show, I'm Do It Like Danny, and I do everything like Danny. And this is Kira Knightley, and Kira and I go way back. If you don't know who Kira is, Kieran, he worked with me at the Tyra Banks show, and I was a producer, and Kieran was...
Emmy award-winning producer. I believe, right?
Yes.
To never forget.
And you were working as A production assistant.
It's the first time you got my title correctly. It's the things you would call me at work. Never once was a production assistant.
Oh wait, we should share. What were some of those?
Yeah, because I didn't even work in your department. I wasn't even your boss.
But you like to pretend to be.
I did.
No, I'm just kidding. No, you were.
You're lying.
There's some choice names that you
Like what?
Like what?
Like, tell everybody in our viewing audience of 2.
Now's your chance.
Yeah, now's your chance.
You're gonna have to stay till the end of the podcast to hear those.
The
Tease.
cliffhanger.
Ah.
Oh my god, I was on the edge of my seat.
So he
I
does
was like,
watch the show. He knows how it works here.
I was so there. I was like, should I jump? Should I jump?
It's actually just going to take him that
Jump!
long to think of a funny quip. So
Yeah.
give him some time.
So
He'll
he's
come up with
thinking. He's like, and Polly, this is your first time on the show.
my
We're so
first
happy to
time.
have you.
Thank you,
Yay.
yeah.
Cue applause. Cue applause.
Yay.
Yay.
All right.
Been listening for a long time, so I'm very
Oh,
excited.
All
thank
right.
you.
Long
Long time listener.
Yeah,
First time caller.
And the way you two know each other is because you guys are married.
Yes.
You guys are homosexual. I love it.
What?
Out,
Yeah.
out and proud.
What do you call? What do you call it in Canada?
That's one of the many things you called me at times.
Oh, I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
Glad I had coffee though.
Yeah, homosexuals in Canada. Welcome from
We're the only two up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah.
In your goose down feather.
Canada Goose.
Yeah, and a goose.
Oh man.
So welcome, Polly. Obviously, you guys got married. I missed the wedding because I was illegal.
Yeah.
And
Do you have your passport yet?
I don't. It's coming.
Okay. Sure.
I know.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I slept with the
Lots
guy.
of
He
fun.
told me this. He said, if you do
And
this
he's
for
so
me,
many.
and I did it for him, it was supposed to come.
Danny, that was the 7-Eleven attendant.
Yeah.
And now you got your big goat.
Yeah. Literally.
and so
got
did
a
he.
big old, but no passport. I can't even go across the street.
Oh.
Yeah, we definitely missed you at our wedding. You
Yes.
were
It was
a big-
amazing.
yeah.
Betty Who, I want to say Betty Lou Who, but no, Betty Who performed.
Yep.
And we should probably put some insert videos here, right?
Yeah.
Don't worry. Have a little faith.
Know the road gets hard, and you just wanna leave. I ain't never too far. Just have a little faith in me.
Let me shine and radiate with your love and light, and help me make any change I can in this world today. Just show me the way. Come on, say, I told you, have a little faith.
The licensing fees are pretty affordable, so we'll talk about that afterwards.
It's Canada. I'm sure we'll just make a phone call to Daddy Trudeau and we'll be fine. So we have to catch up. So the last time you were here on the show, we talked about you were living in New York,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He was going
you-
back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were going back and forth
Yep.
because you're married in Canada. And,
And he wasn't permitted down here.
Yes.
oh, you weren't.
Not to work.
Work.
I could go down and visit, but
Okay.
I wasn't able to go down and work because we didn't have that proper
Visa.
visa. So,
Interesting.
So, but even though you guys were married, there's no connection at all whatsoever.
It was a specific, like he was sponsored by NBC to work down there, and that type of visa, you're not like, it's not like a green card situation when your partner automatically gets it.
Oh.
So, yeah.
And you're currently working on.
Right now, I work in Canadian television as a set dresser, and I'm on. It's a Canadian show. No one's gonna know it.
Degrassi?
It's called, no, it's called Murdoch Mysteries. It's a period like 1900.
I love Murdoch Mysteries.
19 seasons.
I love
We're
Murdoch.
on season 18 right now.
My favorite
so.
was the episode when like the one guy died and
It was a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's literally every single episode.
But he did it
We
with a
should get you a
candlestick.
bit part on that.
Yeah, dead body number 4. The obese man was slumped over
Obese
the chair.
man.
After a big gulp. I think it was diabetes.
The heart attack finally caught up to him. Tim Hortons clogged his arteries.
It's never that easy on Murdoch Mysteries, guys. It's always a mystery.
There's always a twist.
Sort of like this podcast. It's never that easy.
I don't know
Guys,
who's
the prep
listening.
that goes in there. Just like a little round of applause for Louis.
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
legit.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Like Danny, who's not legit. But we're gonna do it just like him. So where are you
shit.
moderating us? Where is this conversation going?
Yeah, so, we have to catch up with you because, obviously we found out where
Yeah.
he works, and you were working in
Yeah.
New York, and you were working on... Can you say it? Can you say that? Yeah, you can say it. Yeah.
Was it Good Morning America?
No, the other one.
He was
So
working on...
today-
He was working
No,
on,
no,
he
the
was working
Today
on
Show.
Unsolved
The Today Show,
Mysteries. The U.S. version. Keeping mystery in the family.
Murdoch and Mystery. No, I was working on the Today Show, and I think I mentioned last episode. Go back and listen to it. That was my dream job.
Yep.
And it really lived up to that, and it was a pretty boring episode because everything came true, and it was great, and it was just the travel was a lot. Not to get too into it, but some family health issues, so made the difficult decision to come back to Toronto and leave that job. So I've been back 8 months now, but I love and adore that team. They're incredible, and it was the best experience working in TV on that show. It was very different than our Tyra days, which were incredible in a very different way and very formative. But it was nice, sort of like taking all the skills I've learned throughout my career. And I say like I went back and did sort of a master class in TV production because everyone there like operates and works at the highest level possible. And so it really pushed me and challenged me to be a better producer, a better person. And hopefully a better podcast interviewee. But yeah, no, it was really, really good. And I miss that team very dearly, but I moved back to Toronto. I'm happy to be there, happy to be closer to family. And yeah, I got a job at Sirius XM. So sort of in the podcast space.
Oh, wow.
And
So you can hook us up to like.
yeah.
In
Sirius.
Canada.
Yeah.
All
You gotta
18
start
people will be
somewhere.
listening.
Thank you. All mandated by the government.
Yeah,
So you have to say you love Canada.
I do. And mystery.
I have a
and
question.
Mr. Murdoch. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Was there anything at Tyra that you learned that you were able to bring to the Today Show?
He's all no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
No, I think what I learned about TV production in the US is that it operates at a very high level, a very fast-paced level, and it's very much sink or swim, which I think we've talked about a lot on this podcast. But I had forgot sort of how fast things move working in Canada. I was still challenging myself and doing really like honing my skills that show, but everything is a little bit slower. I got a little bit comfortable, and I think what the Today Show taught me is that I never want to be somewhere where I just get comfortable. I want to have a job like the Today Show where it's challenging me every day.
Yeah.
And I think now in my current role, like I have a lot of new challenges. Like I've only operated in the TV landscape. Podcasts, radio, all of that is a very different beast, as I'm sure you've become aware of the past 3 years, where I think a lot of times we as producers lean on sort of the visual aspect of telling stories. And in this kind of audio landscape, you really have to think about the listener and really describe the story and you can't just throw up a picture, throw up B-roll and have that explain your story. So I think... although you can watch this on YouTube, I'm told. And
How dare you don't watch the YouTube?
I listen to this every week on my walk with Andrew.
You have to watch
Do you
the
need? I like, subscribe, all of that. Okay.
We need to like, subscribe, follow on YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube.
So forget it. I'm going to YouTube and watching all of this stuff. And
We're
that's
gonna
what-
get rid of the
And that's where you
listening.
can see the Betty Who dance videos.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
We'll have to go
That's
from
right,
there.
that's
So
right.
like, subscribe. What else do you do there?
Follow.
Comment.
Follow.
Comment, please,
Engage.
please.
Is there a
You
poke
can poke.
option?
Oh,
Oh my God, that's Facebook circa 2007. Don't you
Dare
dare poke me.
you, Friendster?
I think that's another thing you called me. Don't
What?
poke
A
me.
poker?
Poker. Don't poke me.
A poker? I did.
Do you think you'll
Pokeroo.
Do you think you'll ever have the opportunity to go back, or are you done with television now? Like, is this something you're like, I'm okay with letting go, and I want to go here?
I am
Oh,
because
okay.
I feel like I hit the top of the mountain peak.
Oh,
for
interesting.
me
Okay.
Of where listen, I'm always open to new and exciting opportunities, but I'm not looking for something in the TV space. But if something came along and it was exciting, and I mean, I always say if I got the chance to work with Danny again, especially in TV, I would 100% jump at that. But
Murdoch
it'd have to be
Mystery.
the right
It's coming soon.
Murdoch Mystery season 20.
Oh my God, that many seasons?
We're on 18 right now.
Oh yeah, we should figure that out.
How many Emmys?
3.
Did they win? Do you guys have awards like that out
We
there?
have the Canadian Screen Awards. I don't know how many they have.
I think they have a bunch.
They probably have a
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Going back to now that you moved into the radio space or
Yeah,
podcasting
yeah.
space,
Audio experience.
audio experience space. So here's an interesting question: do you feel that you're older now?
Yeah,
And then it's harder to get into television because there's
Oh,
so many
absolutely,
young
yes.
people
that are willing to do. Well, this is the thing. There is an eagerness to get into the industry. I think it existed when I was 20, which was 20 years ago. I think it exists now. The people that are in their 20s, and I try to look back and think, was I like that? Because like there is a similar
You were.
level of
You definitely
eagerness,
were. Yeah.
but their expectations for a payoff are
Out of control.
out of control.
Yeah.
Whereas I think when I was 20, like I did want to see my career grow at a fast rate, and I was willing to put in the work. But I think now there's just an expectation. I
Yeah.
don't think I ever expected that. I hoped for it. I worked harder for it. But it was a grind. Like it took us years and years. And I mean, the stories you've told over the course of 2 seasons of this show, it's like you didn't get to win an Emmy overnight. Like
No.
I mean, it was chance, luck, opportunity, hard work, all of the above. So I think, it's been interesting to see this new generation come in, and I think people are eager to give them the jobs because they're saying, "Hey, I'll do anything," and sometimes they do it for a little bit less, but then like 6 months later, they're asking for that raise. They're wanting to do less work and wanting a bigger title, and so it's an interesting time. Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like they don't want to pay their dues. Where we kind of had that understanding in our generation,
yeah.
you had to
Yes.
pave the way for yourself to
Exactly.
get
They
there.
don't understand that. And I sound like an old 40-year-old man. But I am an old 40-year-old guy. But I always try
Happy
to put
birthday.
myself in their shoes and be like, oh, like I wonder if it's more competitive. And I don't think it is than when we were. Because I think there's more opportunity. Like, look what we're doing here. It's if you want to create a podcast, you can.
Yeah.
I
And you
think
can
it's
do really
also
well.
like for me, for example, I started in TV and I started in craft services because it was like the base level, and it's like now, and I thank God for that because it gave me such access to producers and to like cameramen or camera people and like everybody. I got to meet everybody on the crew, and a lot of people just want to skip and be an associate producer. I want to be this. I want to do this, but it's like you got to start small because that's where you meet people, and that's where the trajectory for my job that I'm in now, that's where it started.
Yeah, you create a footprint for yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's you're right. So when I do my rideshare service, I pick up a lot of people that are in the industry, and you hear assistants and you hear people say that they're PAs and they're producers, and you're like, oh my God, if my executives ever heard the way that these people talk or their expectations,
Yeah.
they would have been fired.
Yeah.
And it's really surprising. And it's so funny is because if you were to tell somebody now, I get that a lot. People will say, well, how did you get into the industry? And I'm like, I started at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like I ran coffee, I made copies, and I was an audience. I didn't even see a stage when I worked at Ellen, I didn't see the stage for probably like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
You know, I knew it was there, but I was never there during a taping because I just wasn't at that level yet. I was in the office. I was calling people, booking tickets. That was more important than being on stage. Yeah. You know, even when I worked in Vegas for like MTV and VH1 and did all those award shows, like I was always behind the scenes with all the celebrities. Like I didn't get a chance to like do anything out there. But, you know, going back to what I said before, if you were to mention to and I say kids because I'm older now, I say if you were to mention these kids nowadays, this is how you get into TV. Just get any foot in the door, shovel shit, and be the best shit shoveler that you possibly can be. If I were to mention to them, well, you know what, try craft service, they'd be like, what? Yeah. I'm not going to be at craft service for what? And you're thinking, you're going to get an opportunity to expose yourself
Literally
to everybody.
The top of the executive producer of every show is going to come to you, and you're going to know what they want. I knew the 5-year age cheddar. She hated onions and she loved sliced red peppers, and I would bring it to her every show day, and she'd be like, "Oh my God, Polly, thank you." First year in the industry, and this executive producer knew my name, knew that I was on top of her shit. Yep. Not literally, but like her food and stuff. And it just kind of grew. And then that's how I met the decorator. And I asked, eventually I was like, I'm over craft service. I can't do this anymore. I did it for 3 years, I think. And eventually just went to the decorator and like, hey, if you have any position available, let me know. I would love to take it. And his next show, I was on his team. And from then on, it was just
But you've done really cool stuff. I mean, I kind of feel like you're kind of like...
underselling it?
Yeah, you're being a little demure. But I mean, I know you. I know you. And
first time he's ever been accused of that.
Yeah, I mean, like, normally you're just like, right? Yeah. But I feel like you've done something like Big Brother and you've built things. Yeah. I mean, to name a few things that you've done, I think is that
cool
the most
job.
notable?
I think Big Brother, it's Big Brother Canada. I don't work on American TV, but our version of Big Brother, I did, I think, all 13 seasons. Oh, wow. I was on that show.
Yeah, but you build shit. Yeah. I mean, like, that's also, like, a feat. It's not like you're going in there and, I mean,
it's not paper pushing. It's very physical.
The best part is, though, it's like you dressed up as an Easter bunny.
Yeah, I did, yes.
And you got to go into the house. Like, to me personally, like, I'm like, that's so fucking cool. Like, I think that's
cool. Also from craft services. Like, the challenge department was like, hey, Polly, like, do you want to do this? Like, 'cause everyone knew me because I was the food guy, right?
Cool.
So it's like I got to get all these like stupid experiences, like dressing up like an Easter bunny and hopping around the house throwing chocolate eggs at people. Like, it was so stupid, but like once in a lifetime.
I don't think that's stupid. I think that's kind of cool. I mean, because I mean, even though your face wasn't on TV, you know, deep inside, you're like, that was me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, that was
all
me.
my friends knew it was me too.
I think you hit on an important point though, that like. I don't want to be the elder millennial that's like, oh, all these kids are expecting everything without doing anything, because I think there's a lot of talent there. And what I'm learning is that the people that are coming through now can do like 6 different jobs. So I think their expectation is there because they've learned 6 different trades. It's just you got to be a little bit more patient, and you got to be willing to accept those jobs that don't play into your strengths. Yeah. Like craft services. When I was at Tyra, and when I moved back to Canada and was working for a network in Canada, I was a PA at Tyra. I was a coordinator at this network in Canada. And they would always look for someone, and everyone would run the other way, but they'd always look for someone to cover the receptionist's lunch or breaks. And I was always the first one to raise my hand, because when you're sitting in that desk, answering phones and seeing who's coming in for meetings, you get to know a lot of people and everyone's business. It's like that's central station for any show, any channel, any network. So I would highly recommend doing that, just answering phones, because you're seeing those people that are coming in for meetings. That's how I found out about the morning show that I eventually went on to work for, because it hadn't even been greenlit yet, but I knew people were coming in to meet with like the production executives who were thinking about creating a morning show in Toronto. So before it even made like news in the trades, I knew that it was probably going to happen. I found out who the executive producer was. I emailed them separately. Like, you don't wait for job postings. And I think a lot of people are waiting for like the perfect job to be posted on a website. And the people that I've been on the other side receiving those resumes, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds come through. If you get an interview, you are so lucky. And if you move on from that, you're even luckier. So you've got to really find unconventional ways to make those connections, to make those contacts, to to get that interview, to get that FaceTime with the people making the decisions, because it's very rare. I mean, I did apply for the job at the Today Show online, because you always have to do the proper method. But then I was going on LinkedIn and finding out, who are the producers that work there? Who are the contributors that are on the show? I was messaging them. Can you put in a good word for me? There were a lot of people that I knew that were friends of friends of friends that knew some of the executives. So, I mean, I had to prove myself, and I was very creative in my approach to the way I formed my cover letter. They had this segment on the show called Tuesday. So I took my photo of me in 3 different interview outfits, and I said, you choose the outfit I'm going to wear to the interview. So you have to be very like pushy but creative in that way. Like, don't just, it's wild the amount of resumes I've seen that have like a photo, a phone number, and address on them. Like, this is not a cover shoot. Like, this is not, you're not trying
You're
to
not
be,
applying to be on The Bachelor.
Right. Like this is a job. And so really, like, when I look for in resumes, when I'm seeing them, it's like, what are these interesting, cool jobs that they're not afraid to put on, even if it's like working at a mall as like an elf at Santa Claus. I'm like, oh, you're willing to put yourself out there.
Yep.
No job is too above you.
Yeah.
And so that's what I really look for when I'm hiring. So I think there's a lot of talent in that younger group that's coming through. The expectation is like, I'm going to be a PA. I'm going to be a associate producer within a year. They have this trajectory, and it's like, as you've heard from this podcast, it takes you in wild and weavy ways to get to winning that Emmy. And
I think it's also very important to realize it's not what you know, but who you know as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Every single one of my jobs has
yeah.
been just because people know me and they just pull me onto a production. And I know it's a little bit different in the whole office world, but I mean, you get, people that just know you and you're like, oh, I'll put your name in over here, and like, oh, this person over here, and you just meet so many different people, and that's how you kind of just pulls you around, and that's where you kind of find your niche, and that's kind of, I haven't had to have an interview in like 10 years.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Which is crazy.
And
now,
so, to piggyback off that, which is totally true, that's been my experience.
Yeah.
I've really never had to send a resume. I think, I don't think I even did it for Tyra. I think I did it for Tyra. I'm sorry. I did do it for Tyra, but they didn't even look at it.
Yeah.
Like, they just do background
Well,
checks.
it's just
they don't care.
a coloring picture of Stickman, right? Explaining the jobs you were doing.
How dare you? Dry erase was popular in that day.
It was an Etch a Sketch.
I did dry erase. I'm like, my name. My D was backwards. Like Jeffrey from Toys R Us.
Why do you have an 8x10 glossy photo of when you were 18? You're 40.
But yeah, that was my experience. I would interview, and then God, now that I think about it, because of John, he knew me from Tyra, and that's how I got the talk, and I knew someone at work, and that's how I got the job at Ellen, and so it really is. It comes down to sometimes it's not what you know, because I mean, listen, over the years, I've had to interview kids that have so much experience. You're like, you have a master's in publicity? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
what does that even mean?
what does that even mean? And you can't write a press release. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then you have people that, like myself, that was never really I never thought that television would be my trajectory. Like, I'd worked in food service, and I worked for, not odd jobs, but the Cheesecake Factory. Who would have ever thunk in a million years that this is where my life has taken this turn? But I'm older now, and I realize that, over a 50-year-old person is kind of hard to get you're not going to be a 50-year-old PA, right? Yeah. So that you do kind of close yourself off to certain things, and so the next thing is you have to create. Yeah. And this show is what we wanted to create, and with my cousin and all of his insanity and my insanity also too.
Mostly yours.
They said it. I didn't.
I was trying to be good.
Louis, we got you.
Good.
I was trying to be controllable.
I think to jump off though, it's all who you know. It's important to cultivate those relationships and maintain them throughout. And it could be something as simple as like sliding in their DMs and saying, hey, how's it going? Or commenting on a photo they posted on Instagram. It's like, you don't only want to be reaching out to these people when you need something. You've got to be like liking their photo and stuff. And like, their photo's fine. Like, just like it. So like it.
So,
like,
but
don't
do you kind of feel that's, I don't know. I kind of feel like I've always beat my own drum, right? And
Yeah,
I think
for
it's
sure.
closed a lot of
For sure.
doors and closed a lot of
For sure.
windows
Yeah.
and closed a lot of everything.
and opened a lot of things. For
Who
you too,
knows,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you've always been really good at that.
Yeah.
You were always, you still are.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say like you're great at networking, and I think that's what I need to learn.
Yeah.
I need to learn to be a little more general in my spectrum of who I reach out to, because I just do the same people.
Well, I think the thing about you that's very unique is that when you're in a room with you, like you bring everyone together. Everyone flocks to you. There's like a magnetic energy because you're making us laugh. Use this for the promo. You're making us laugh.
Season 3.
Season 3 coming soon.
He wants to be in that promo so bad.
So
But
bad.
it's so
Why don't you
bad.
rewind? Say it again clearer though, into the mic.
Danny,
Like,
it's all he
he's
talks
so
about. We'll be lying in
funny.
bed at night. He's like, I just really want to be in that promo.
Yeah.
Season 3 promo. It's mine.
It's gonna be big. Season 3.
Because season 2 has been like 175 episodes.
I know, wasn't it? I always remember it was season 1 launched. It was like Janet Jackson's birthday or whatever. and
Correct,
that's what you-
yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that was 4 years ago. We're
That
still in
was-
season
yeah.
2.
Yeah, and then did we launch season 2 on Janet's birthday? I think we also did
We
it on
tried
Janet's
to,
birthday.
yeah. It was either
We
the same
tried
day or like
to.
a day later.
But then Louis threw himself off a cliff. No, he got hit by a car, and so that
Wow.
that
Look at
like
that.
that kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah.
So
I did
How
tell him
dare
he could,
you?
I did tell him
dare
he could
you?
continue
How
the
dare
show.
you? How
He
dare
did not.
What he didn't say
How
was
to set this
what
up.
Danny hasn't said is Danny was driving the car.
right? Like,
He wanted to
He
break.
was driving the car and wanted a break.
He needed to break. He didn't know how to tell me, so he just took me out. That's why I can't find who he did it.
mask over there, the crying baby mask. Come on.
We need to pick up some excitement. We're in the sophomore slump of season 2. But no, you do have that like electric energy about you, and I think what you could work on is continuing that outside of when you're in the room with the people, like because it's kind of that out of sight, out of mind thing.
Yeah.
And like you're watching Instagram videos, you're scrolling, you're seeing them, but like there's no interaction there. So the only time people get that quality time with Danny is when they're in the room. And because you're a little bit removed from the industry right now, you're not in those rooms. So people forget the energy you bring, the expertise you bring, all that stuff. So I think it's
even
just
when you come to Toronto,
Yeah.
like all our friends still remember
Yeah.
you, even though you've
Oh,
never
yeah.
met him
Is
once.
Danny
They're
coming?
like,
She's
oh yeah,
an energy
Danny.
vampire.
no, he's working on season 3.
So basically,
So-
what Kieran's saying is that when we get a holding room for season 3, you need to come out,
Yeah.
talk to the audience,
Here we
let
go.
them know
The
that
Danny
you're thankful
experience,
for
like the
that.
Ellen
Oh my God, are we
experience.
gonna have a live studio audience?
That's the goal. I would love to have, even if it's like 6
Oh.
people, I still would like to have a little audience.
Would you still treat them like a Tyra and be like, "You guys have a here, and you have 2
We're
seats
6 people.
way in the corner.
So busy, we're loading.
We're color blocking.
Loading.
We're color blocking. I'm gonna need you to sit over in those 2 chairs over there.
We should overproduce it purposely.
Yeah, overly produced.
We really should. You should call
Excuse me,
David.
Sure,
Danny,
make sure
is
they're
it
here.
possible?
I'm sorry. I have somebody in my ear talking. Hold please.
Make sure they're here an hour and a half before we start.
There'll be no
Have them
snacks.
seated
If
in
anyone
the-
needs to use the bathroom, now is the time to do it.
We
There
should
will be
rent a-
no break.
We should rent a van and have them like funnel in, shuttle in, bro.
Have them wait across the street.
Come over there. I'm sorry. Is there a seat closer? I'm sorry. This is all we have.
Danny, do you
You
remember?
decided to
Wait,
wear that.
this is my favorite. I always, whenever somebody be like, I'm sorry, hold it right. That was always the easiest
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
If somebody was like in your ear, like they were bitching at you, like, I want to, like, I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. And you're like, right?
You still
make
do that
them
to
wait.
me.
And then
You
you're
still
like,
do that to
okay, I got it. I'm sorry, okay, so we're gonna have you sit over here, right? And they're like, what? But I want to be like, yeah, right. You walk away. Oh my God, how many times have I done that?
Wow, you
Yeah.
haven't shared those.
Oh yeah. But he's bringing
the
it up.
tricks of the trade.
But you know, you forget. Oh my God, there's so many
Yeah.
secrets. There's
Yeah.
so many secrets. Because you know, listen, the truth of the matter is, you had to seat the most energetic people in the right seats,
Yeah.
and they had to be great looking, and they
Yeah.
had to have their teeth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like, you know, every show had its obstacles.
Yeah.
You know, Ellen had particular requirements. Tyra had requirements. I think the only show that I ever worked on, or the only network that I ever worked for that didn't have those parameters, shockingly enough, was Bravo.
Interesting.
Oh.
When I worked for Bravo, and I did the fashion show with Isaac Mizrahi. That's where I met Dana.
Yeah.
Right. I sat it like I was working at Tyra, because remember I had worked at Tyra,
I remember that,
and she came down and she's like, so. It's a little white, right? And I was like, oh, God, you don't want that? And she's like,
No.
no, we want to see men. And I was like, men? Oh, my God. That was like, I was just like, I had
go
never
shopping.
I had never heard that, right?
You're like, no problem.
Yeah, and there were like these great, and because it was a fashion show, and one of the seamstresses on the show, she introduced me to all these people that were actually like in the fashion industry that were like names of people, and they all wanted to sit in the front row, and I was like, that's fine, but some of them were men. I didn't see them anywhere near the camera shots because I thought, oh, they don't want to see them. One had like a little hat, and they looked really cool, right? And she just put this one here, and I was like, all right. So I'm like, all right, but I'm gonna move people around for colors of your jackets, and I mixed it up. And even still, it took her a while. It took me a while to train my brain to think we want everybody to be seen. Yeah. And then I said that was the only show that I can ever think of where there were no. They wanted everyone to be seen, which I thought was kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, considering, how do you tell people that you're basically profiling them?
Yeah.
How, in a nice way, how do you convey, I'm so sorry, when you smile, your tooth does this. You know what I mean? Like, like, and that's awful because, but I think there's some people that get so caught up, they don't realize it's television, and they're like, but you gotta put me on camera. And you're like,
Yeah.
Honey.
Oh,
sorry.
And I think it's like one of the things that made your job so hard is like there would be audience members that would arrive at the butt crack of dawn, like 3, 4, or 5 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
For a show. And like in your mind, in their mind,
First come,
they're like
first
first
serve.
come, first serve. So I'm going to have a seat in the first 2 rows. And the second you get in there and you have to do your job directed by like your higher ups and your executives, and they have no understanding. You can't explain that to them.
No, you never can.
And so it puts you in a very difficult position a lot of those times. And
Oh, yeah.
I saw you navigating that with it.
Yeah, it was hard.
But yeah.
I will say it became easier in New York.
Yeah.
Tyra in LA it was easy and hard.
Yeah.
Because the first 2 front sections were the closest to Tyra. Right. And if you did come early, I could put you in those.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of had a little bit of wiggle room in there, but when I came to the talk, that was hard because that was like Ellen, where anybody could be on camera,
right?
Any section, like there were so many things that were going on. They were trying to grab shots from all over. Yeah. That was a bit harder. Yeah. What was easy was at least when the ladies walked out, it wasn't like all on camera. Like Tyra. Tyra was all on camera because she popped out from behind the audience, so it had to look amazing and great, right? And when you're in New York, we were right there in Chelsea, so it was like ground zero for Fashion Institute girls, and they would come and you're like, oh God, thank God, right? But truth be told, in television, it's always the best dressed and the most energetic that show up late. Yeah. And then it's hard to place them, right?
Do you remember when my friend Nick and I came to visit you at the talk? And we were violently hungover from the night before? Oh my God. So,
we should talk about that. So yes. So I was working at the talk.
Paint the picture.
And yes, I was working the talk, and I can't remember, who reached out to me for tickets?
I think Kieran did, but for
I said Paulie's coming.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I was like,
the talk? Yeah.
Great, no problem.
There's no giveaway. There's no giveaway.
Yeah, because everyone always wanted giveaways. Yeah. They always wanted the inside.
I said, no, they just want to see you. So you go continue.
Yeah. So we had been going back and forth on text message, and the day he was supposed to arrive, did you come late? I can't remember.
We were late. Okay, so the night before, we were in LA for maybe 2-3 days. So we're gonna go out WeHo. So we went to WeHo, got I'm blackout. We don't remember getting into a cab and going home. And apparently when we came down the next morning to come to the talk, the doormen were like, oh, you guys are alive. They're like, what do you mean, sir? Like, I've never met you. He's like, we had to literally like peel you out of the cab.
There's a
walk
video
you
circulating of
inside.
Nick rolling around
We
on
were
Santa Monica
blackout.
Boulevard.
Don't remember it.
Yeah.
So we wake up the next morning like, oh my God, we got to go to the talk. And like we were, I think in Hollywood and we had to get to wherever the talk is. I don't know LA that well.
It was in the valley.
Yeah, so we were in a taxi just like, oh my God, like how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? Like still
Sweating
drunk,
out their alcohol.
Still like stinking like
They
booze.
stunk. You guys stunk. I could smell the alcohol. You're like, oh my God, we had such a rough night. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God.
Right this way.
Yeah, he literally puts us in the pit right next to like this like where the action is on screen, and we are just sweaty. Like all the women around us are like,
Who are these two
idiots?
junkies?
Yeah, like they just found us on the side of the street. They had to fill a couple seats.
Paid audience members.
So we make it through the episode, and then Danny's like, "Oh, do you want to meet the ladies?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." Like still drunk, and I remember meeting Sharon Osbourne, and she's like, "You guys look rough." And I was like, "Thank you."
She
Nice
could
to meet
not
you."
hold it back.
She couldn't, and she wouldn't. Why would she?
That's
No,
awesome. She's awesome. That's the greatest
That
thing.
was always so great. That she was amazing.
And the rest of them were kind of like, just stay back there.
Yeah.
There was no photo taken.
No photos were
You
taken.
No one's putting their arm.
Yeah. You guys were crazy. That was a good
Were they like,
time.
oh no, someone's
Yeah,
Exactly.
I gotta go.
Exactly.
And then I think that night I met you guys out, right?
Yes, yeah.
Where did I meet you?
I think we had margaritas at that like Mexican place on Santa Monica.
Oh, so you-
got trashed
right beside
again,
Nick.
though.
So you kept
We
drinking.
did get trashed, and we were leaving that night, and
Well, we got I was trashed.
yeah.
And of course, I wasn't being
someone-
responsible. And I'm
someone
like,
else
I'll
was
drive you to
driving.
your bus.
Yeah, 'cause we
And
were
someone
in the
else
bus.
drove.
Someone else.
Someone else.
Yeah.
drove.
Somebody else drove. My evil twin.
Yeah, Donnie.
Listening to Maroon 5's Sugar.
Yeah, we were singing, and I remember like cutting off cars and cutting off buses, and
It
then you
was
go,
bad.
"That's our bus." I'm like, and I pulled in front of the bus on purpose
Why?
to
'Cause we were
stop
running
the
late,
bus,
yeah.
so the bus would not go any further, so they could jump out and get onto the bus.
I would have went right around you. When people would do that
No,
to
but
me,
it wasn't.
And
like
then-
it was a. It
and
was
then he
like
would've
a.
hit you.
What kind of bus
It was
was
like
it?
I think to the airport. Like I think
Oh,
it was one
to
of
Yeah,
shuttle.
like it was
Okay.
a flyaway
Wasn't-
kind of sort of thing. Oh yeah. Oh, I pulled in front of that bench. They go, we're gonna be so late. I'm like, you'll be fine. You're gonna be fine.
every
It was
time
like
somebody
Harry
did that to me,
Potter.
I would just go right around and they'd be pissed because they'd be stopping in the middle of the street. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I
that's funny.
totally Harry Pottered them to the. I mean, there's still video. Remember? Oh my God, there's
Yeah,
video.
somewhere.
We won't. That'll be unreal later on in life.
Do not add that in.
Yes, we had some wild nights. We've had some definitely wild nights. Even
Do you
in
have a story of like a very memorable audience member that you could share? Like other than these stinky messes that showed up?
Do you want a VIP story or do you? I mean,
I don't know, something that's like just top of mind when you're like, oh my God, what was your craziest day as an audience producer?
I don't know
And what
how
I
you
did-
did that job,
because-
to be honest
oh
with
my
you.
God.
Because
So
I feel like the
we-
level of Karens has like
Yeah.
raised the bar right now. Like I think back in the day they existed, but not to the point they are now.
yeah,
Like,
they existed, but I think I dealt more with, let's see, Tyra, we had our ups and downs. I mean, I think I've talked before about the Clay Aiken episode where that was wild.
Oh, yeah,
the
that was
Clay
a
Aiken
mess.
fans are just like,
Yeah.
they're insane. Let's see. And then there was Ellen. Ellen was like, I think I talked about like where the lesbians would flash their tits
Right,
to
yeah.
Ellen.
Yeah,
in the
that was last
audience.
week.
Oh, was that last week? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
See, so I said that before. So then moving on then to the talk. So the talk's demographic was older.
Okay.
And it was a whole brand new ball game for me because I had to learn like ADA. I had to learn all the accessibility
Right,
requirements, all the law, the guidelines. I worked with an ADA lawyer that went through the entire like honestly, like the level of research for that alone
Just to
was
fill seats.
beyond
Yeah.
and beyond, just to fill seats
Yeah.
because people in LA want to sue. They're so
Oh, yeah.
used to suing. The minute that they think this is not ADA, my 800-pound body doesn't fit, and you're like, come on, right?
Yeah.
Then they would want to sue.
Right.
And I can honestly say, in my entire career at the talk, I think 2 people tried to. Others had tried also too, but it would fail because I had documentation on everybody,
Nice.
right? So in that respect, though, we just got a lot of older folks. So I felt so bad. One time I had this older lady, And these people would bring their older family members in wheelchairs. They would bring them in, whatever catatonic state that they were in because they wanted giveaways. And that's the truth. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
What they would put their family members through just to get an additional suitcase, an
Right.
additional pencil, whatever that it was they were giving out on that particular
Pencils
day.
were a big ticket item.
Right?
You negotiated
Oh yeah,
those.
oh yeah. Number 2. Everyone wants the number 2 lead pencil. So you would be surprised. So like I felt so bad. I was always in a tough role because I had to still uphold the guidelines of the show, but then there's a human aspect of it. And there were so many times that I think other audience members never got to see. They always knew me as hard-ass Danny, right? But there was a time where one time I'll never forget, the pages were Danny, they used to call one section the mom section because when the show first started, it's where they wanted to seat all the moms, right? Leah's mom, so they called it the mom section. That's the only reason why. In the mom section, audience members were complaining there's the smell. And I was like, oh, fuck. So I went out during commercial, and one of the accessible ladies, she had pooped her pants.
Oh no! On live TV?
So we had to pull her, and I had to escort her, and I just was like, what do you need? And they were like, oh my God, thank you so much for helping me. And, she was older. She was like in her 90s, and the caretaker was taking her I go, this is the private bathroom. Yeah. Take as much time as you need. I'll bring you a talk shirt to cover her up or do whatever, and you can't get mad at that.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
The only part I would ever get mad is, and it happens today, and people even like to kind of veer off a little bit of the subject. Right now, Disneyland is going through their BS because people are freaking out about their accessible program, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at the comments, it's wild to me what people put themselves through. So like some of the comments are, oh my God, it's so bad now. I can't stand for more than 20 minutes. I've got stage 4 cancer. I've got macular degeneration. I use a cane. I use a walker. I wear Depends. And you're just like,
Why would you go?
why would you go then? It's like, I'm sorry, and
like
Matt,
a
I'm not trying to be insensitive, but why would you put yourself, knowing that you have all these ailments, right? This isn't Make-A-Wish. It's just Disneyland.
Well, and I think there were some people that were abusing it. I remember for years going with my family and seeing like people drop off the wheelchair and hop out of the wheelchair like nothing's wrong. And like I remember I was like 12 or 13. I looked at my parents. I'm like, what is that? And because they were getting, it was like your front of the line pass for every ride. And now like I just heard that they upped it. That front of the line pass is $400.
Oh, well, that's the Lightning
That's
now.
the Lightning
Yeah, we'll
thing.
talk about that in a
That's
second.
wild.
But
Okay.
you're right about the wheelchair thing. But what's crazy is now people have come up with this. Well, you can't see my accessibility.
Right.
Now it's like, oh, because it's against the law to be like, well, what's wrong with you, right? For us to assume. But, I have mental problems. Well, then why the fuck are you at Disneyland? You know what I mean? If you're going to lose it up in your head. But anyways, that's a whole
I
story.
almost did lose it that day. We waited 3.5 hours for that one ride.
What
Remember
ride
we went
did
all
you
the way
wait
down
for?
there? Oh my God, it was the new one. It was was it Star Wars?
The Star
Oh, the
Wars
Rise of the
Resistance.
Resistance? The
Which is
trackless
a
one.
great ride, but 3.5 hours.
Did we
you
wait that
remember?
long?
It was at least 3. It was the only ride we went on. And then we went and got chicken fingers, and that was it.
Oh wow, you guys really waited that long, huh?
I don't remember waiting that long.
It kept breaking down, and we refused
Were you
to
on
leave.
Canadian time?
No, we were with your friend that worked there. And,
Yeah, I don't remember waiting that long though.
well, did we go on any other rides?
I don't remember.
We didn't.
I think we were drinking.
Spoiler alert, we
Were we
didn't.
drunk?
We didn't drink. No.
Sure. We didn't sneak any alcohol
Positive. No.
in.
Not on this
That's his favorite thing is to sneak in alcohol now. It's like a little rum runner.
I'm down to plastic bags in my boobs now, and I'm like, I identify as
As a
you can't.
female with alcohol in her tits.
Sorry,
Can't fill me up.
sorry, can't touch me.
So funny story about that. I went to a concert. I was like in my early 20s, and the
I was with
cost,
you.
You were with me.
Yeah.
The
Very adorable.
the cost of alcoholic drinks at concert venues is insane.
Oh yeah.
Astronomical.
Astronomical. So like in Canada it was like $22 for like a rum and coke, and I was like, I'm not doing that. So I put a Ziploc bag of rum into another Ziploc bag and put it in my pants. Well, when I got out of the taxi, it popped, and it looked like I pissed myself.
And he smelled like
And I
rum.
smelled like rum.
So that was fun.
Did I get into that concert? I sure did. But did I reek of rum and look like I peed my pants?
I
Yes,
sure
did.
did.
Did he also end up spending $22.50 on a rum and coke?
Yes, I did. But
So
I
it
never
didn't
thought
work.
about weed.
Win,
Yeah.
win.
Yeah, they can't say anything to you. You're like,
So that's the second story where you had some go wrong with your pants. Okay, cool.
Oh,
Interesting.
okay. We're moving on from season 1.
Oh my God. So I will come back to the trans also in a second. So going back to one of the probably, well, God, there's a lot of periods.
Okay.
When we went to New Orleans,
Oh, this is the audience stories?
this is the audience
Got it.
stories. When we went to New Orleans, it was for Super Bowl. And this lady had white pants. And I was like, what is all over the seat? As I was moving people. And her friend goes, you're on your period. And you know when you play bingo, it looked like
What's a bingo?
somebody had like, it was a dauber because she kept moving around and
She
she
had
was so
bingo?
excited, like bingo. And I was like, you won. No.
No.
So, I was like, so we had to throw away the chair.
Oh,
There was that one. And there was one time, I had a miscarriage. I had a miscarriage. Not me personally.
Oh, okay.
I've been trying for years. But, no, but she literally had a miscarriage
Oh,
in the show.
That's crazy.
So we had to take her to the restroom. She was all, and I said, you need to go to the, I mean, obviously they left and everything. Oh, yeah. You got things like that. And what's interesting is, everyone is always like, Danny, you're a hard ass. You're a bitch. You're this. But people don't realize what we had
And,
to
and that's just your mother.
Think.
I'm just kidding. I've not met your mom.
How dare
She
you?
hates me
She's gonna be
now.
like, she's gonna be commenting on YouTube. Fuck that Canadian guy.
I'm kidding.
No, but like I don't think people. It's interesting because I forget the stories when I'm talking with Louie and Angelo because they weren't in it. But now that you're here and you're reminding me, it's sparking all these things that we had to go through and what we had to do. There's a lot of things. There was, there was an epileptic seizure. I'll never forget this one. And so she was having full grand mal, but what was awful about it was she was seizing during the live show.
Oh, no.
And she was in a section that I couldn't get to. I had to wait till commercial to get to her. So during commercials are only 2 minutes, your live show, I ran up there. All of the director, everyone in my ear is like, you need to get her out of there. And I'm like,
Oh, there were people in your ear?
oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That wasn't just a seating tactic.
Yeah, right. Oh, that was that too. They're like, you need to get her out of there. She needs to be. And I was like, okay, everyone needs to calm down.
Yeah.
Like, this is a medical emergency.
Yeah.
You need to call 911. I had other things to manage.
Yeah.
At that point, I didn't care about the show. And I'll never forget this. And God bless her because she tried. The lady she had her first seizure. She had several. And as she kept having them, they were getting progressively worse. And so Aisha comes up thinking that she can help the situation. And I'm like, Aisha, and I literally was like, we're good. I need you to go back to your chair. Like, I need to get her off the stage. And she's like, oh, honey, are you all right? And I'm like, oh, this is not going to help. Like, and then she started to seize again. So it took myself security to get her off because she was stiff as a board every time she would seize.
Yep.
And we're trying to move her off in a manner where cameras are flying, mics are coming in, and they're trying to produce a show.
Yeah.
Were you able to do that safely, though? Because
Yeah.
aren't you supposed to not touch people when they have seizures?
You're not supposed to really move them, but we had to get her, and her family member also helped us too.
Oh, okay.
And when she was, the awful part is every time she would go through a seizure, she would lose more and more mental acuity. So she was like, where am I? And I was like, oh, fuck. I'm like, hi, you're at the talk show. We're going to have you walk over here. And I would get her just in time a little bit, and she'd start to seize again. So it took several attempts. Finally, when I got her to the back of the stage, we laid her down, and she had a seizure so bad, just her heels and her head were on the floor.
Oh, my God.
And she was seizing, and I was like, oh, fuck. So I just said, all I know is we got to get her on her side. Because then people were like, put your fingers down. Like, you're not supposed to put your fingers in her mouth. Like, it's so interesting how everyone thinks they're a medical technician in that moment. And you're
TikTok
like,
doctors.
just put her on her side, because what you don't want is them to choke.
Yes.
And so that's all you can do is put them on their side, almost like in a fetal position, so that they don't, and protect their heads, so that they don't, bounce around and whack it on the concrete, right?
Yeah.
And when the paramedics came, they took her away in the ambulance.
Wow.
It was wild. I mean, there was some, there was one time, actually, you know what? There was a really good time. You remember EK? Did you work with EK? I can't remember, maybe not. Yeah, EK was at he was Tyra in LA. He wasn't Tyra in New York. So one time at Tyra in New York, we were doing a show on cutters.
Oh, wow.
It was all these different things, right? And one of them was a segment about cutting, and there was a disclaimer at the beginning of the B-roll that said, if you know, some of these scenes may be disturbing, right? And she begins to talk about it. All of a sudden, I hear the pages, Danny, the lady's getting up in section 2. And I was like, okay. So I met her because we're in a tape scene, so we can walk around the audience, you can do stuff. And she's like, I don't like blood. And I'll never forget this. She literally can't, and she just fell right there. Whoa, right? And I'm like, oh my God, she fainted. So I pick her and I'm dragging her so that I can put her behind. So the camera, I'm hiding a dead body. And so I'm holding her head and I put her on her side so that just in case it's a seizure. Yeah. And then I go, are you okay? There were monitors behind me and she opened her eyes and she goes, dunk, right? And she passed out again. All of a sudden I hear Danny, section 1, and a girl passed out. People were passing out from the blood, and I was our stage manager's like carrying girls to the back of the stage, and I'll never forget that. I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. There's so many things that you don't see. And I think people think, oh, when they go to those award shows, that's, I think, probably my favorite story out of everything is, and it's not so much that it's a negative thing, but like when you go to, Radio Music Awards or when it was MTV or VH1, what people don't know is that there are seat fillers because they always want the audience to look full. And what people don't realize is when that commercial comes, you don't hear anything. There's a director going, we need people over here, reset for this shot, blah, blah, blah. And then you hear people that are filling the audience, I need 20, send me 20. And it's like, it's crazy. It's so insane. We're back in 30. Everybody in your seats now. Get in your fucking seats. And people are like,
so much fun.
That's how Danny ran his audience.
For 12 people. I'm going to run my audience here like that.
Bob, sit down.
I can't wait for your big giveaway episode where you give everyone number 2 pencils.
Oh, yeah.
Stay tuned for that.
Oh, I will. There'll be
Bics.
There'll be clickers. What are you at for time right now?
We're at 56. That was fast.
Yeah, that's fast. We should probably stop because you're going to have to edit some of it, right?
I think it's all pretty good.
Oh, fuck.
That's
I don't want to have hour-long episodes each week.
Too late.
So, if you'd like to figure out what I'm going to be giving away on my show eventually someday, you're going to have to tune in tomorrow because we have more with Kieran and Pauly. So much more behind the scenes. And maybe you don't think it's behind the scenes, but this is behind the fucking scenes, okay? With all that being said, we'll see you tomorrow and have a Do It Like Danny night.
And for tickets,
Yeah.
go to doitlikedanny.com.
I love that.